Mackenzie,
Lemar.
when was the last time that you took a loved one in your life, family or friend, and shamed them into having to pretend to be somebody they're not so they didn't embarrass you?
I don't think I've ever done that. I'm gonna be honest with
Okay,
you.
that's not the cold open. I apologize. That's we'll get more into that and how that plays into the film that we're covering today. My actual cold open, and this was your idea to your credit, but just to introduce it here. What would your drag name be if you were a drag actress actor? So what we've done, I believe, is we've sort of run some things through ChatGPT, gotten some suggestions, and is it 4 options each that we're going to give each other?
Yeah. So this was I love this where we do this for each other. This is my favorite.
Yeah.
So we got a drag queen named Generator that has areas of interest and then spit out some options. So you want to go first, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, I can do it. So I fed into ChatGPT. I said, hey, I need a drag name for my friend Mackenzie. She is into cinema. She is into Halloween and spooky stuff. She is into charcuterie boards. But I will give you, and actually I said you're also into this podcast, which covers movies and cocktails. And it tried its best to come up with one for that. And it actually spit out like Alfred Hitch Cocktail, which isn't a great drag name, but I'm like, there's a play there on Hitch Cocktail, but I couldn't seem to make anything work off of that, unfortunately. Too many syllables. So your 4 options are, and I'm going to go from like my least favorite to my most favorite, I think. The first one, which I think you're going to hate, is macabre, but M-A-C-K. I know you don't like being called Mac, so macabre. And that's not going to play while you're on stage. It's only going to play. It'll play in text.
Yeah.
So on a poster, or on a marquee, it'll play. The next one was Betty Slavis. So again, a little bit of cinema, a little bit of horror in there. So instead of Betty Davis. The next one, which I love how it ties in horror and charcuterie, is Morticia Snackums instead of Morticia Adams. And then the final, my personal favorite, is Real, R-E-E-L, Real McQueen. And I think that's pretty damn good for We Drink and We Watch Things, honestly. It's got Queen in there, yeah.
I'll take a queen. I'll take a queen name for that. I love it.
Maybe I shouldn't have ranked them because I think that gave away what I thought was the best. But it did. I think that is.
I was waiting. What's the good one? What's the best one?
Morticia Snackums is pretty good.
Morticia Snackums is good because I like the play into the charcuterie for sure. As y'all know, I make a charcute. That's my little nickname for it. So it's a good time. It's a good time. Okay, so I was originally going to use like a generator thing, like I was telling you, but then you inspired me to do the we
gotta embrace AI, man.
We super don't, but I'll do it.
I'm gonna go on LinkedIn and tell everybody how I used AI to do this.
To do drag names.
If nobody hears it on LinkedIn, what's the point of even using AI,
Right. Otherwise it doesn't help your career at all.
Right.
Okay, so I did 4 for you, and I had to do this under the gun a little bit, but I said come up with 4 drag names for my friend and podcast co-host Lemar. He loves horror movies, games. He's the funniest guy in the room. He loves emo music, karaoke, and he's a Hot Topic alum because I couldn't leave it out. I
talk about it enough. Now, question, when you say the funniest one in the room, is that just when we're on the podcast, or do you mean in any room? Like when it's just the 2 of us, I'm the funniest?
Usually when you're alone in a room, you're definitely...
Okay, that's good. Put that in parentheses for the ChatGPT to understand. I agree with that.
That's fair. We do have to qualify it. Okay, I'm going to kind of try... These are funny. Okay, so this is obviously playing into the horror of it all. Anita Jigsaw.
Ooh.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah,
pretty good. Okay, and then the next one is Carrie, as in like the horror movie Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
Okie.
Ooh, and you didn't even say anything about karaoke, did you?
I said you like karaoke.
Yeah. Okay, I missed that during the prompt. Sorry.
Yeah.
Karaoke, that's a good one.
And then this one, I don't get. Maybe you get better than me. You might have to explain it to me. Rar X deity. As in like
R-A-W-R.
R-A-W-R X deity.
Deity.
It says it's MySpace era phase Rar XD crossed with deity. It honors your
I remember the RAR thing. I remember the XD thing. I'm just trying to think if it's supposed to rhyme with like a name of some sort, but
I don't think so. I think it's just like trying to be emo, A for effort. Not my favorite. Okay, but
that does sound like a MySpace name to be
But
fair.
this one, I think, is my favorite.
Okay.
Goth topic.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good one.
Dude, that's a pretty solid play.
I'm so glad I didn't leave off the hot topic. Like, we had to have it. We had to have it. All right, those were good. Okay, tell us what your faves were. People, let us know, because I think those were good.
Solid choices. All right, let's do some drag.
All right, let's do it. Welcome back to We Drink and We Watch Things. I'm Real McQueen.
I'm Goth Topic.
If you missed it, those are our drag names. So those are our personas today. I'm here for it. And if you missed the larger point of all of this, it's a new month and a new theme on the pod. We are doing Pride Month all of June. And this entry is our G entry. We are going to be talking about the Birdcage.
Which we apparently have to talk about. I mean,
Literally,
it's so fucking good, but everyone wanted this covered.
Everyone was like, please cover this one. I think it's on everybody's list. It's some people's like favorite movies in general because it's just a good movie. So yeah, it's going to be a good time. But what are we drinking? You did this one for us.
Yeah, before we even get to the drink, I feel like I need to backtrack slightly, and I need to ask the gay community. We are doing, Pride Month here. So again, this is said with all sincerity. I need to ask the gay community who is listening to this, would Goth Topic be a better drag queen name or Hard Topic? I need you guys to weigh in on that. Get at us in our DMs on Instagram, because I am genuinely curious what would go over better if I were on stage. Okay.
I also really liked the Anita Jigsaw. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I thought that
Anita Jigsaw. I think it's
too.
just that I'm not as huge of a Saw movie fan. I liked the first one,
Fair.
but I didn't like any of the next 14 that they made. But otherwise, I would have leaned into that a little bit. Yeah.
I got you. All right. What's
okay. So this drink is 2 ounces of bourbon, 0.75 ounces of lemon juice, half an ounce, 2.75 ounces of hot honey syrup. I would say, depending on your spice tolerance, just be careful with that, because I might have put a little too much in mine. And then 2 dashes of cardamom bitters. Those are might be hard to come by. If you don't have those, you can just sub orange. And then we're going to throw some rainbow glitter in there too. It's fucking Pride Month. Like, let's represent. And I will say, you're going to shake this all. It's pretty straightforward. Just shake it all up and then strain it into a tumbler with a big cube, big rock. And we're calling this straight bourbon.
Get it?
Get it? So yes, good. It is called straight bourbon, but there is some glitter in there. There's obviously some spice, some heat, some Guatemalan heat in there. But yeah, I think it's very representative of the film overall. So here's just drinking straight bourbon. Cheers.
So I didn't have rainbow glitter, but I have a lot of glitter, and I went with gold because the Birdcage logo is all gold. And then I also had pink ice cubes, and I have a little rainbow straw and everything. So
we are showing up and showing out here. I will also point out, before we get sued, don't just put glitter in your drink. It needs to be edible glitter. There's a specific type of glitter. Please don't eat glitter on our behalf. Yeah.
Yeah, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Okay. Let's do some basics and then get into the fun stuff. This is going to be a great time. So the Birdcage, if you haven't seen it, 1996, you all should have seen it by now. It's a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, 84% from critics and 81% from audiences. I'm choosing to assume that the rest of those are just homophobes, because objectively it's like a good movie. So
it's hilarious. Yeah, I don't, unless you're from the deep South and did not know what you were getting into with this, and your maybe religion or just prejudices are getting in the way, I don't know how you can't have a good time in this film.
Yeah, objectively good time, So it's okay to be wrong, but like, you're wrong. All right, so our director here is Mike Nichols, and this is adapted from the stage play as well, if you didn't already know that. So it's based on like a French comedy play, La Cage aux Volets, and this is, his adaptation, but it's actually following a Broadway adaptation that he was briefly involved in and then taken off of. So this is like his opportunity to kind of redeem himself and do this, which is great. We probably know him most from The Graduate. Yeah. I think everybody knows him the most from that. I also did the thing this time that I thought would be fun, of the things that you don't know them for, such as, what planet are you from? I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it. That's his least known film, apparently, is what we would say.
Well, I was gonna say like Mike Nichols. I had heard the name before. I think I remember, from The Graduate, but I went into like a little bit of a deep dive and just found out he's one of the most fascinating dudes in Hollywood to me. Like there were so many fun facts, and I'm gonna go through this very quickly, I promise. Unfortunately, he
I'm gonna
did
time
pass
you.
in 20. Okay. Unfortunately, he did pass in 2014 at the age of 83. His last movie was Charlie Wilson's War with Tom Hanks. But I think from a directorial standpoint, he's fascinating. He's only the ninth ever EGOT winner.
Hmm.
He did Angels in America on HBO, so I believe that was his Emmy nominee or winner. And then he's the first director ever to have a $1 million or above salary for a single film, and that was Catch 22 in 1970. So like,
Get it, Mike.
yeah, get paid, Mike. And then the last thing, like going completely out from his just directorial high points, he fled Nazi Germany with his younger brother in 1939 and came to New York, and met up with his dad, who was already here. Their mom followed a year later, but like their family was split in the midst of World War II, and then made their way to America. So the fact that he went on to direct all these incredible things is just great, like fantastic.
What a bad
Fascinating.
bitch. What a bad
What a
bitch.
bad bitch.
And I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
thank God he escaped. You know what I mean? The art that we would have missed out on, that's amazing.
It's
Um,
when he came to the States, he said, and this is him quoting from, he got interviewed in like the 90s or 2000s. He said when he moved to the States, he only knew two phrases in English. It was, I don't speak English, and please do not kiss me. So I don't know what the Nazis were telling people about
what?
Americans of like, if you move to America, everybody's going to try and kiss you. But that's one of the phrases that he
Wow.
knew coming
Are
from
we
Germany
sure it
to
wasn't
America.
please don't kill me? That feels more
Please don't
appropriate.
kiss me. Kiss me. Yes.
That's wild. Well, fun fact, I'll just throw it in here because why not? You remember when we talked about Life as a House and how you hooked up in Life
Yeah.
as a House and it was wildly inappropriate? Do you want to know the My Movie Theater hookup movie? It's a Mike Nichols movie.
Charlie Wilson War.
Yes.
That's how you remembered him? You were like,
Yeah. And I the theater was literally empty, so, anyways. But I watched it again later. Like I did watch it later, but definitely not while I was in the movie, for
okay,
sure.
well, now we know. What
Now
is your
we know.
theater
You can
hookup?
judge me, and I'm just saying, this is your opportunity to judge me back if you wanted to. Well. All right, our cinematographer here is Emmanuel Lubetsky. He did probably most well known for Children of Men, and then least for $20.
20 bucks.
What that could be about, I don't know. Was this like a shitty loan? Like where's my $20 situation? Is this like how far can $20 go? I have so many questions.
Is it an A24 like Safdie Brothers movie where it's people yelling at each other for 90 minutes about trying to get 20 bucks? Like, I need 20 bucks. You bullshit. I need 20 bucks.
I have no idea. One of these times I'm going to watch the least known one before so that I have more information, but that was compelling to me. Our music here is done by Jonathan Tunick, and I think it's fun to call out the music here for all the reasons I'm sure you could guess. And it is not at all surprising to me that this person did Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, musical theater, gays unite, you know what I mean?
Now, can I make a suggestion for the writers here?
Sure.
We have
you can.
five writers, right?
Yeah.
Can we and it says like each of them did a different version of the screenplay until we got to this final version. I would like to give your credit where you would like to, Mackenzie, but my big question is, after 5 different versions of a screenplay, how did this end up so fucking good still?
I mean, that's theater, baby. You know what I mean? Like that is, you get a bunch of like fucking nerdy theater kids in a room and put them to work, and it's, usually going to come out gold. Like I'm not surprised. This also again had great source material. This is great source material.
I just found it interesting. It wasn't that they all got credit as being collaborative screenwriters. It was that all 4 of outside of the guy who wrote the musical, there were like 3 other folks who adapted their version of the screenplay until it got to the final writer. So it wasn't all of them in a room. It was just each of them taking the previous version of the script and improving it in some way, I guess.
And I think the final version is technically Elaine May's.
Yes.
I think that's the final one that is actually hers. And she's still alive. She's 94. Bless her. Still with us.
You go, girl.
Just like out here crushing it with her work. I mean, she also did, this is another thing. Again, this is a lot of like theater kid overlap. Like she did, a lot of Broadway, a lot of theater as well. And she was in, I think in the 90s. So around this time, she would have been most well known for Tootsie.
Yeah.
Love Tootsie. I love that. If y'all haven't seen that, it's a great movie. Great movie. Okay, and then major cast and crew want to talk about, obviously, Mr. Robin Williams plays Armand Goldman / Coleman, depending on what country you're in when you say his name, apparently.
They never know what it is until they hear it said out loud. Yeah.
Until they hear it said. I think one of the ones I wanted to pick, I think we mentioned it before, but Dead Poet Society. I just rewatched that again recently. It's just so good. It's just so good. But the one I think he's least well known for is Shakes the Clown.
Shakes the Clown? I feel like he's played a clown in a few different things.
I think so too, but like what comes to me is Patch Adams, where he's not really playing a clown, but he kind of does.
But he's got the clown nose, and I'm thinking in Death to Smoochie, but I don't know that his character was really a clown that as much as a children's performer. Did you read the fact that he was originally cast as Albert in this?
Yep, and he asked to change roles. Yeah,
I mean, it makes total sense, right? Because of the Mrs. Doubtfire of it all. Like, why would you want to do two things back in a back-to-back where, you know, you're playing these similar, obviously not the same context, but very similar comedic parts? And I guess Steve Martin was originally supposed to play Armand in this, and once he couldn't make it, Robin said, hey, I want that part. And that's how thank God Nathan Lane got brought in, because the two of them together is incredible.
100%. Well, Nathan Lane, it was a Broadway actor before this. It was like his breakthrough, you know, film role, but he had auditioned for Mrs. Doubtfire for the other like gay uncle scene. And so he barely lost out to it. They really loved him. And so Robin Williams promised him, I will work with you in the future. And so he suggested him when this whole casting shift happened, because Steve Martin kind of, opened the door for these rotations. And so he suggested him and brought him in, but he actually turned it down at first. He was really nervous. Again, he's a big Broadway guy. And he was like, I have a thing lined up on Broadway. I don't need to do this. And Mike Nichols wanted him so bad that he convinced the producers of the Broadway production to push the production to allow Nathan Lane to do this film. So, and he ended up winning a Tony for that actually as well. So it just, you know, it worked out gangbusters, and they are just the perfect pair, to be honest.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to shout out Nathan Lane, like Jersey alum, like myself, born and raised in Jersey City. But this was, to your point, his breakout film role. And then he goes on to do, I never realized when I was a kid, he was Timon in The Lion King. Did not even pick it. Like, I recognized
I was going to call out. Yeah.
But that's probably what most of us as children remember. But he is also one of the two leads in Mouse Hunt, our oft requested audience choice from John Braun mainly is the one who you know shouts that out. But I thought it was funny. We did a double feature of this last night. So we watched the Birdcage, and I was like, for some reason, I think because I had heard it on the rewatchables, and I was like, I want to go back and rewatch Odd Choice. There's something about Mary. I hadn't seen it in like 25 years.
It's funny you say that. I also want to rewatch that lately. Like it's been top of mind. I don't know why. There's
some stuff in there that's questionable. It's not perfect. I still laughed a fair amount, but I thought it was funny because the other co-lead in Mouse Hunt is in There's Something About Mary. He plays Tucker, and I just thought it was funny. I ended up doing this double feature where Nathan Lane is in one and the other guy from Mouse. It might be a sign, Mackenzie. Eventually, Mouse Hunt has to make the cut.
Hey, I've seen it. I like it. We can do it whenever you want. Totally fine. But like to your point, he plays Albert. He did The Lion King, and then his least well known is Nicholas Nickleby, which is a Charles Dickens book, if you've never heard of that. And there was like a not very watched version of that translated into film.
I've never even heard of the book, so
I've watched 3 versions of it actually and read the book. So there's only one that's decent, to be honest. So, you know, you can do what you can, Nathan. He's got some good ones out there. That's maybe not so
like Dickens was phoning it in at that point. Like, oh, what should his Nicholas Nickleby?
Dickens was wildly inconsistent, is the thing I will say about him. Incredible author, but I think most people would agree he has some real mediocre bets in there, because he was a working author. He was spending his money as quickly as he was making it, and he needed to crank some shit out. So checks out. Gene Hackman plays Senator Kevin Keeley, and I think most well known for The Unforgiven, but we've talked about him a bunch. And Welcome to Mooseport was his least well known. That was
his last movie, actually, because I didn't realize that he passed a year ago. We did The French Connection not long after he passed. He hadn't been acting for like 20 years at that point, and it's crazy to think about because we've had this discussion before of like, we were born in the 80s, and I discovered Gene Hackman in like the mid 90s. I wasn't aware obviously of all his 70s and 80s roles, but the late 90s into the early aughts was when I was like, oh, Gene Hackman, he's in Enemy of the State, he's in The Replacements, he's in Heartbreakers. He had a string, and then he just quit in 2004. I'm guessing for, personal reasons, but it just blows my mind that he wasn't really acting for the last 20 years or so.
Wow, that does seem so far back, because that was 2004.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay. Miss him. Okay. We also have Diane West here, who is an Oscar winner. Like, I need y'all to understand, she's playing a very funny, silly role here, but she's an Oscar winner. Actually, there are several. Gene Hackman's one, Diane West, Robin Williams. Like, we got a lot of Oscar-winning cast here. She plays Louise Keeley. She is, I think, her best turn and probably most well-known is Edward Scissorhands. It is not, of course, what she won the Oscar for, but it's just so fucking good. So good.
She feels like she could play any motherly, like matronly role, as well as like any like female office worker. That like, she has that perfect voice, and we'll get to how she does get a chance to really shine in this. She's also in Independence Day. Yeah. No, not that Independence Day. She's in the 1983 version of Independence Day that is basically a Hallmark movie of being a photographer in a small town and wanting to leave. It's I never saw it, but there you go.
Yeah. I found The Scout as like her least well known, but yeah, she has a few. She's like
I liked The Scout. Brendan Fraser. I actually liked that movie a lot.
I don't remember it. I remember it existing, but I don't know if I saw it or not. I'd have to like rewatch it, but
it's got, I can't remember the other dude's name. He's like old. It's not Mel Brooks, obviously, but it's that guy that kind of reminds me of Mel Brooks, but he's in a bunch of stuff. Anyway, sorry.
No, that's fine. She's awesome though. She can, like you said, she's kind of a great, versatile character actor, but she has such a motherly vibe, but she has this like bite to her, which again, like you said, we see this here later that we'll talk about. We also have Hank Azaria playing Agador.
Agador Spartacus.
Agador Spartacus. You're right. Absolutely. His full name. He refuses to be addressed any other way. He's in a million things, especially a lot of Broadway. Like, he was also, again, a Broadway kind of actor for a while there. But he also, I think his breakout was like Mystery Men was a big thing for him in terms of film.
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of film. And then, funnily enough, this is why I chose this pairing. His least well known is Mystery Alaska.
Oh, well, there you go. I was thinking it might be he has a really small role in Dodgeball, the Ben Stiller movie, and Vince Vaughn. He plays the young Patches O'Houlihan in like the flashback black and white sequences, but really small role there.
I love him.
Are we not going to mention The Simpsons?
I mean, I don't watch The Simpsons, so yeah, sure, you can mention The Simpsons.
Well, I just think it's, everyone knows he plays like a dozen, like probably more than a dozen different voices on there. But when I looked at his filmography, I just thought it was bonkers. He started acting in 87. Like, he had 2 film roles or like TV show roles, and then he gets Simpsons in 89, and he's been doing it for fucking like 37 years or whatever that is. That's
steady gig,
bonkers.
Why not just do it up? I've never been a huge Simpsons person, obviously, but he is great at voices. Like, that's his thing. I love that in this one he has this incredible, hilarious voice. Like, my family and I still quote this exact, like, this, speak in this voice to each other based on Hank Azaria's voice that he does this to. But he was saying that he thinks he based it off of his grandmother's voice. He was like, he didn't realize until after he was done filming. He was like, I didn't realize I was just like recreating my grandmother's voice when I did this.
I think his parents were Greek, right? So I don't think he's doing a Guatemalan accent, not to throw anybody for a loop. But that is not what.
I don't think it's particularly Guatemalan. It's just it's definitely got a flamboyant flair, I guess is what you would say.
Yeah.
We have Christine Baranski, who plays Catherine Archer, who's not here for very long, but she makes an impact for sure. Yeah. She's Mamma Mia, I think, is one of her.
A lot of musicals, huh?
Yeah, she's again. I love the theater kid in me loves this. It's a bunch of fucking theater kids, and it's a great time when you put them all together. She's least well known for Jeffrey, which I have no idea what that is. So
I don't know that I want to go to the movies and see a film called Just Jeffrey.
Just Jeffrey, right? Yeah. Like, what's that about? I don't know. Anyway,
she's the reporter in Chicago, because I was looking at her listing. And it's like 80% musicals. So good for her.
She also has done a bunch of TV. She did The Good Wife was a bit like it was a lawyer one. Her and Julianne Margulies are in that for years, and then they do a spin-off with just her. I don't remember what that is, but they did something with her because she's a force of nature. She's great.
I was wondering, I wonder if she was in the running for the Rebecca role on Ted Lasso, because I feel like she and Hannah Waddingham are both like powerful,
energy.
yeah,
own
in the room
she's just
kind
not
of vibe.
British, so probably not. But yeah,
facts.
Dan Futterman plays Val Goldman. So
Fuck you, Val.
In my opinion, our villain here. I'm so glad to hear that you're like on the same page. I love that.
The kids are the villains of this story.
I thought this was gonna be a hot take, but no, like I don't love them. Okay. He is not in a ton of things that I think most people know. The one that I actually do like him in, and I think is like an underrated kind of thrillery movie, is Enough with Jennifer Lopez. Where she's like,
is he the bad guy in that?
No, he's not a bad guy. Okay. No.
I don't remember if I saw that or not. Yeah.
I think we've talked about it. I think you've seen it because I think we had that conversation before. It's actually decent. I think it's decent. It's not like an incredible film, but it's entertaining. Like I'll watch it again for sure.
It looks like he's gotten more into production nowadays. I don't watch this show, but apparently there's a Jeff Daniels sitcom or show that's been happening for a few years now called American Rust. And I guess Dan Futterman is the producer, the EP, the creator, the showrunner. So like apparently he's found his niche in producing.
Yeah, he's an okay actor, but he's like, he's kind of one-dimensional.
He didn't do that much. Yeah.
He didn't do that much, exactly. We also have Callista Flockhart here, who plays Barbara Keeley and Val's love interest, and is supposed to be 19 at best in this film, and she is, wait for it, 30 in real life.
She looks 16.
She looks like, I just am like, but she just has this like, I don't know. They costume her in a way that I think ages her, where I'm like, this doesn't quite work. But she's actually, in terms of film, most well known for this. And then least well known for Fragile. And then she is probably most well known in general as an actress for Ally McBeal. She did that show for years.
That was the show for a few years there, and then nothing.
I never ever saw it because the only premise that I saw was the preview, the trailer with the fucking baby. And I was like, what the hell am I watching? And it was like the thing. It was the
If you're under the age of 30 listening to this, you need to go because that was basically an internet meme before the internet was like 100%. Basically in the infancy of the internet, but everyone knew the dancing baby thing. And
you would use it all the time. You'd send it to people all the time. But like I never saw the show, but I was very aware of that dancing baby. Okay, quick plot summary, and then we're gonna have some fun. So a gay cabaret owner and his drag queen companion agree to put up a false straight front so that their son can introduce them to his fiance's right-wing conservative parents.
Phew.
I mean, accurate. What, like, let the mayhem ensue. This was really successful, though. Mayhem or no mayhem, this had a $31 million budget in 1996, and it made $185.3 million. And I think that's very telling for a period where you got to understand not everybody was cool with this kind of content. Nathan Lane is a gay man, and he wasn't even out when this project was being created. And he was actually very nervous. I think that was a big part of why he was nervous to do it, because he was worried about people discovering that he was gay, and Robin Williams helped him keep it on lock through the press tour and all these things. And
that's awesome.
So I think that says a lot about like how an audience would receive this movie, and it crushed.
Yeah, 110%. I mean, gay marriage didn't become nationally legal until so much later than people remember. It was 2010, 2012. Like it's recent memory that was the case. Say again.
Oberfell was in the Obama years, because remember they lit up the White House, and it was I can't remember how to say his last name. Oberfell versus Hodges, whatever. Anyway, that's the case, and it was very recent. It was very recent that it was fully legal. You had different states that allowed different things, and then you had civil partnerships and things like that. I think it's even telling that the summary says companion. I think it's telling that in the movie he says my companion. He doesn't say my husband, but he does say your mother. They do say your mother.
Doesn't he say my husband at the end, like in the final sort of reveal?
When he gives him the palimony agreement, he says,
or does he say wife? I think he says wife, actually, because they do sort of like, it's ahead of its time. We're getting into spoiler territory, but like it is ahead of its time with like gender norms,
Yeah, but it is, I think it still is mixed, I think is what we're demonstrating, right? It's like it doesn't fully commit to the bit. throughout. Anyway, so
Yeah.
speaking of turn around, don't drown, it's spoiler time. Like clearly we're there, so let's just go.
Yeah, we're veering into it, but the last thing I wanted to say about the like 6 times its budget it made back here. I wonder how much of that was just tied to the Robin Williams of it all, because we just mentioned Mrs. Doubtfire and like, you know, he's coming off of a lad, like everyone is going to pay to see Robin Williams. And I remember in the first 10-15 minutes of this, rewatching it last night, thinking like, the beginning of this feels almost like an extended SNL sketch. Like it feels so over the top and silly with the feminine screams and things like that, and it's hilarious. But I wonder how much of this was sold on the back of Robin Williams, and how many of those people that are buying tickets were somewhat unaware of what the plot of this was going to be. Because I do remember the trailer way back in the day, and I didn't 100% understand what the plot was. And it's problematic when you look at it, we'll get into what actually happens in this. But like, kudos to them for like, and it holds up so fucking well. It's still a brilliant movie.
Well, it's funny because Mike Nichols actually wanted to do this for a while, and people told him many times, like, you can't pull this off. Like, audiences don't want to see this. You're not going to like, there's not a way to cast this that's going to go well. There's not a way to cut this that's going to be well received, blah, 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 blah. But again, he was like Broadway adjacent as well. So he very much appreciated the camp and the theater of it all. And I think that's what comes through here is like, you say over the top, I say theater. And I see what you're saying, like a sketch and an SNL and like totally. But I look at that and I'm like, this is a Broadway play on film, right? Like this, it has so many pieces of that structure there. It's a stage comedy. And I love how much of the theater and the follies and the because like the drag and the follies are just, they're so intertwined, they're so inspirational to one another that it's supposed to be that over the top, and like you said, it's fucking hilarious. But I also think that we just ended up with the perfect cast. Like, do I think Steve Martin could have done this great? Obviously. But I think even just the little, you know, musical roles shifting that we see and how we end up with this like very balanced a cast here is great.
Balance is a great word for it, because one thing I caught this time was I really enjoy how the Nathan Lane and Robin Williams characters do not feel like the same architect of homosexual men. Like they feel like two very distinct characters. And I think the risk could have been, when you're writing this, whether it's the musical or the 5th fucking version of the screenplay, the risk could have been like, oh yeah, we're going to have two very over the top flamboyant gay men. And I like that, pun intended, Robin Williams is almost playing the straight man in this, of like, he's trying to kind of tamper down Albert in so many different ways. And we'll get to like the straight lessons of it all and stuff like that. But I just think I give this movie and the screenwriters, and maybe it's the musical writers, so much credit for not making it feel like gay is a single one-dimensional character archetype, you know?
Yeah, and I think I agree, but I also think it's pretty common in gay relationships. I have lots of friends who would probably agree with this, but also I even was watching a video about this the other day. A gay creator that I follow was like, this is, you know, I hate when my husband is out of town and he makes me do husband jobs. Like I just took out the trash, you know, like how very dare he leave me, the princess, the wife, to do this. And it's like, I think there are so many relationships like that, gay or straight, that still emulate some of those dynamics, right? Of like, I'm the husband, I'm the wife, or I'm the guy, I'm the girl, whatever you want to say. And so I love how they show that here. My only complaint about it is how unclear it is at a couple of points. Like I said, I do think this is way ahead of its time, and their dynamic is great, and they have this beautiful family. But the way they talk about it and talk about each other is kind of vague and unclear for a lot of it. And the most overt you get is toward the end with the palimony agreement, and then again when you hear him introduce him. You know, they're kind of dancing around it, is all I'm saying.
100% on that, because I mean, from the beginning, they tell us that this is kind of a relationship that's a little bit on the rocks. Like it's kind of a rom-com in that way, where you're not sure, are these two main characters here going to end up happy, like with a happy ending? Because it's not just the son that's coming in and fucking up the whole dynamic, but there's already a little bit of tension there, and trying to get on the same wavelength of what this relationship is. I think one thing that is consistent to what we mentioned before is the gender dynamics with them do, to me, seem pretty well defined. Of they have a line early on It's a punchline originally of, you know, where Nathan Lane says, like, don't use that condescending voice where you act like you know everything because you're a big, strong man and I know nothing because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
And you laugh at that. It's one of the first lines of dialogue, Nathan Lane's character, and you laugh at it because it is kind of played as a punchline. I forget if there's a response there, but it gets affirmed 2 minutes later where Agador says, let's give her some time, let's give her some space. And they use the feminine pronouns throughout the film. And to what we said earlier at the end, he says, this is my wife. This is his mother. Again, way ahead of its time. Maybe not in society. Like, I don't want to downplay for the Pride community. Like, these were probably very well known in that community, but to society in general and mainstream society, the gender used in this is way ahead of its time, I would think, because I personally in my life didn't know the distinctions between he, she, and they until, you know, like 8 years ago, maybe is when I started hearing that. So to hear it play out in this on a rewatch was just, crazy.
Well, I think that's also indicative of like the drag culture community that we're in as well, right? The people who participate and perform in drag are her, they're queens, they're she's, right? And she is at the end of the day a drag performer. So Albert is like embodying that femininity that comes with that, which has become a caricature, but as an art form. Right. It's supposed to be that way. And
over the top. Yeah.
And it's supposed to be over the top. And he's great at it and he completely embodies it. But I also just love him as the mother figure. Like he is, and they refer to him as he, like you said, multiple times, especially when off stage. So that's the other piece. But he's like the truest mother figure in this movie because Robin Williams very much plays the dad. Like he's being the dad to Val for sure. And you know, and then we have Albert, who's like the nurturer and the mom type and like going and tucking him in and getting the laundry to clean up after him. And, you know, just being the nurturer mother, getting his favorite meal, like all these things that you would associate with this mothering, nurturing dynamic. And you see how different that is than his birth mom that we see later, who has never met him. So I think this is a great segue personally to talk about how shitty Val is. Because Val is the worst son to Al, who's his mother, and wants to, you know, her to exit stage left, basically. And he wants his father to be somebody totally different to just make this relationship look kosher to these conservative people who are coming in. And I love how much Robin Williams pushes back in that first interaction. Yes. He's like, it took me 20 years to get here to be exactly who I am, to build this life, and I'm not going to change it for anybody. They can go fuck themselves. Yes, go, crush, love that. It was beautiful. Yeah. But then you see him struggle with it because this is something that his son really wants, and it's hard. It's a hard shift.
It again would have been very easy in what would you say? This was 94?
96.
96. It would have been very easy. Again, I know it's based on, you know, a musical or like another play, and it would have been simple to have the structure and the story of this be straight son asks gay parents to, you know, tamper down there and to be other people in order to make this ruse work. And it would have been very easy for that to be the whole concept and the whole plot to be, haha, it's hilarious that these gay men are trying to be straight, and they go along with the whole thing. I think it adds this element of complexity, and it makes it so much more interesting to have him, like you said, push back, not just in that first thing where he is like, it took me 20 years to fucking find out who I am. You're not going to do this to me. Even later, when Val has that moment where they're like redecorating or whatever, and he says, hey dad, thank you. Like very soft and like soft spoken. And he says, don't talk to me for a little while. He is still fucking pissed off. And I think that's great that continues throughout of him both of them trying to keep their son happy and give him this dream and like have him have his dreams work out. But at the same time, they can still be very frustrated. And that complexity makes this so much better.
It does. It adds such an important layer. It's very parental, right? Like you get your individual identity versus your identity as a parent. And they are both parents to this boy that they love. They don't agree with what he's doing, not only in the getting married to this woman so young, but also what he's asking of them. But they love him first and foremost. And I think you see that sacrifice come through. And it's punctuated by such humor. Like but that is still there. Like you said, he's frustrated. They're taking it very seriously in a lot of moments, but on the whole, this whole thing is a comedy because they take these really hard topics and they make them funny. One of my favorite scenes is the fucking toast scene where they're at the restaurant trying to teach Nathan Lane Albert how to not be so gay and flamboyant. And it's so funny for a Robin Williams to be doing that, right? Because Robin Williams is like such a caricature in so many other movies. And he's like the big, flamboyant person, gay or not gay. And he, like you said, is the grounded, more masculine figure in this moment. And Nathan Lane between the two of them, they turn out this incredible performance in this scene of him trying to figure out how to walk like John Wayne and,
I wrote that in my notes, just straight lessons at lunch, exclamation point. Is that entire like 6-minute sequence of the walk
every
and
moment
the buttering
is hilarious.
the toast. Yeah.
And I just love that he's like, what did, when he does the John Wayne walk, he's like, what, no good? And he's like, no, I just didn't realize he walked like that. It was actually
totally
perfect.
Accurate. Yeah, he was kind of an alcoholic. I love also when he walks up to him and does the masculine handshake and he's like, how the hell are you? And he goes, how about those dolphins? Like, just Nathan Lane is goddamn perfect in this. Like the fit, not just the like his vocal performance, but just the physical humor that he has when he comes into the room in the suit later.
Yes.
And he's tampering. You see him controlling all of his mannerisms, whether it's crossing his legs or the way that he walks. It's brilliant. And you see that he's trying so hard for his son to make this happen. But it's this great bit of physical comedy.
And I think he did a great job. Like, I actually didn't love their reactions on rewatch because I kind of forgot about that, to him in the suit and everything. And they like act like, because to them, this is so alien. It like is so doesn't fit and doesn't make sense to them. So they're like, this is so bad. But I think he actually did such a great job. And it is a testament to how hard he is trying. Like you're saying, he's trying so hard. No, it's not a perfect fit, but I think it's passable, right? And they just kind of laugh at him and where he goes and, hides out. But I think it tees us up perfectly to, this other approach that he takes later, which is for the Keeleys, who we have to talk about. Like, I can't with the Keeleys, man.
It is, again, ahead of its time. Maybe it's not ahead of its time. Maybe it's just always been, there's always going to be progressives and conservatives.
My note in here is literally Republicans be Republican. Like, they're just out here Republican all day long. Like, that cut to that show where they're arguing with each other on, it's supposed to be like the political commentary type of show. And it's all the same themes and it's all the same yelling and getting mad and all the things. And it's him being like, this is the greatest show on television, and him watching himself and cheering him on. And you're just like, oh my God. It's so
I wrote down like Hackman again, just great casting all around in this because he does a great job. I love the physical comedy of him on the ladder doing the interview with like the microphone stuck up on the long poles at him.
And the Nixon peace signs, you guys, like I can't.
He goes back inside. But even like later on when he gets it, I love that there's two different dynamics at play here. We've talked in depth about the family and what they're trying to keep behind the curtain here. But the Gene Hackman character, the senator, he's trying to skirt this controversy, and he walks into again, and he's trying to kind of keep something and like do his own performance here. I love that he does when they say, "How was your trip down?" It's this innocent question of just how was the trip, and he does this long form politician debate response of, "I'm just going to ramble for 2 minutes and say nothing." And
I'm going to talk about the amber waves of grain. Is like basically what I'm going to deliver to you.
You know what else? Pennsylvania is beautiful too. Like they're just, it's so, you watch any public debate and it is the same exact fucking thing.
It was so, when it could have been like, it was long, but it was good. We got to see some great, serene countryside, the end, whatever. No, he gives a political speech. But I also like that they make him have these like weird nuances and flaws. Like his candy obsession is funnier than it should be. Like, just because how far
eating it out of the trash.
He's trying to grab it out of the trash can, and you're like, dude, calm the fuck down. And but it is funny because he doesn't let himself have vices, and this is the thing that he's bad about.
Well, I think the message of the film, to your point there about like the vice, I think it's all perception, right?
Yeah.
And I think what the positive one critique I have, I think the movie ends 5 minutes sooner than it should. The movie ends with them going through the drag club, getting in the car and escaping. And then we have the wedding with the closing credits. I think there's one or two more conversations we could have had there with showing the growth in the Hackman character. I think we get the point across that he's at the wedding and all that, but I feel like there could have been a little more with them, a conversation where it is the Albert and Armand speaking to him as real people, you know, after this whole incident has happened. But like all that to say, like early ending aside, I think it's meant to show the point of the movie. I think aside from what we learn with the main family is with him, it's meant to show how much of it is just perception. He's really doing these things, not necessarily because he believes them wholeheartedly, but because he doesn't want to lose his base.
It's performative.
Yes.
Yeah, he's absolutely
and I love it. You had kind of mentioned this before, not just his little idiosyncrasies, but like, I love how him and Albert in like drag hit it off and they're getting along so well. And it turns out they do share some political ideologies. Like Albert isn't totally making shit up to appease him. He's saying some of the thoughts he actually believes, and the two of them connect. And I kind of dig that.
Because they're both weirdly traditional. Again, like it comes back to Albert is very motherly, like wants to be the mom, wants to be in this marriage, wants to have co-ownership of this life, like wants to be the homemaker and performer and the woman in this relationship in so many ways. And they are traditional in that way. Like I think they're genuinely bonding both in the dinner scene, which is fucking hilarious throughout every single second, and then in the club afterward when they're in drag. And like I love Gene Hackman's obsession with nobody dancing with him. Like if you don't like, I don't want to be the only person not dancing. Are you kidding me? Like it's the stress, it makes me look fat. And then here comes his new buddy Albert, and the roles have reversed. And I think you see that a bunch of times in this movie. I was like these role reversals that really complement each other. And I just think that that dynamic is so funny, but it kind of, I think it underpins, like you're saying, his persona versus what hopefully he actually believes, because it's not just anti-gay stuff. Like he says a lot of terrible things in this meal and about people and about, you know, he calls Agador the beige boy or whatever he says, and like he refers to
says
black
to quote
black.
Here, apologize, I'm quoting, he calls him a beige savage. Like that is
beige. Thank you.
That
yes,
might be like the actual most offensive thing to be said in here, because I think anytime there's a homophobic slur, it's said by the gay characters. Sometimes detrimentally and sometimes as a point of pride, but like
when they say anti-gay F word, it's the gay characters saying it, but it is, like you said, self-deprecating a couple of times, not always good. And then he calls he says the blacks are gonna get upset now again. Like that's a quote as well.
He's viewing it from a politician.
It's so fucked up. It's just the other. It's the other, right? And then it's until he gets immersed into this situation where this community saves him, right? Like really saves him from being caught in this scenario and covers up his, you know, saves his reputation in a lot of ways and accepts him in that moment. You know, him and Robin Williams walking out on the stage together, and he's like, "Work it, girl." You know, they're just committing to the bit, and I think it forces that like human connection versus the other and the things that you are into and blah blah blah.
I know that people love it when we get on our soapboxes on the pod.
It's their favorite.
I mean, if people are still listening at episode 150 or whatever and don't like it when we do that, I apologize, but like that's on you.
You made it.
But it is, I've always said this. I think that most fear, prejudice, racism, homophobia, all these negative things, they just come from a lack of exposure and a lack of education of, okay, you're homophobic. You don't like gay people. How many gay friends do you have? How many people have you even had a conversation with that are gay? Or if you are racist,
more than you think. Spoiler alert. More than you think.
Yeah.
You know,
well, how many folks do you have a relationship with that you know are gay? Or how many minorities, Hispanic, black friends, like just exposure. I'm speaking from not like my own experience necessarily, because I grew up in the Air Force and it was like everyone was around us and we all our parents made the same amount of money and did the same job. So a little different of an upbringing. But I think about, you know, my mom and dad and the way that they were raised. And my mom was raised in the South, and it wasn't until she started having black friends in the military and like met a gay couple that lived next door that those prejudices went away. So sometimes it's just a matter of exposure. And I think that's what we see with the Senator Kelly character in this.
And even if it doesn't manifest as prejudice, it can manifest as stereotypes, right? It can just be like, I just believe this thing about this community. It doesn't even have to be negative, but I have no direct exposure to it. And until I do, my lens is just not going to change, you know? And this is absolutely, you know, manifest as a prejudice in the case of the Keeleys. But like you said, I think some of it at the very least is rooted in his base, this performative nature as a politician, etc., because he does adjust. You know, you see him adjust in that moment, but then also, of course, he comes to the wedding. And the moment that's so satisfying to me is when they come clean. And I'm glad that Val does that in that moment, like commits and says, like, this is my mother. Like, that's so wholesome and sweet. And I love that because it's, for me, the redemption that he needs. Because
it redeems him like 30% in my eyes, because he waited
it's
until
not 100%.
everything was already out on the table to have that moment. But yes.
Well, the only I agree with you. He drives me nuts. I don't think it's okay what he's asking of his parents and all of this. The only thing I will give him, which I do think you don't maybe get enough investment in, is that this is for her. This is for the woman that he loves and that he wants to marry. And she needs this from him. And would he ever ask this if that weren't the case? Of course not. It doesn't excuse it, but I'm just saying, again, I think all of these things, if you trace them back to their origin, you know, Albert and Armand deciding to even do this is about their love for their loved one. And so I think he's asking it, and it's not okay that he is, but it's for someone else who shouldn't be asking it either, right? It's just a domino effect of, you know.
I wrote that down of the kids are the villains in this, not the senator. The senator's doing what a senator does who's trying to keep his job.
I mean, he's also a villain, but yeah.
He's like ancillary, I would say. Like, but I think the kids are the villain. When he says he's giving advice to his dad and he says, don't walk, don't gesture, don't talk.
No, that's
I feel like if you made this movie, if they remade this in 2026, the more logical moment that should happen in this as like a potential climax is, I think that fucking Armand should slap his kid in the face and be like, we're doing all this for you. Like, there should be a moment where he like, and I think
don't
we kind of
fucking talk to me like that.
Like we said, where it's like, don't talk to me for a little while. That's kind of as intense as it gets. But going back to your other point, of all the roles and all the characters in this, I do feel like the Callista Flockhart character is so underdeveloped. Like, she is just like the sixth part of this rotation.
She's kind of a prop. Like, I don't know if she had stuff cut. I didn't really look into it, but I because she was cast very intentionally. Like, she was not a first choice for most other people, and then he cast her based on something else I can't remember he had seen her in. And he was like, no, she's perfect for it. And I'm like, but then you give her almost nothing to do. So something had to have been cut or something. But she's the least, we engage with her the least.
Yeah, she should have had, they give her a couple sweet moments. Once Albert comes into the picture at dinner and she's helping her with her wig and all that, like they give her a couple moments where she gets in on the action, but for the most part, she's just sitting there and observing. And to your point, I feel like they could have had something with her and Val beforehand that really got the point across of we are deeply in love. Yeah. And like, oh my God, but what's going to happen to my dad if this, as opposed to him just showing up and immediately, but I guess there's one thing that this segues into. I'm sorry that I'm going through like 3 points at once. I guess you can't have that moment. If you have that moment, then it takes away from the beginning of the film, because on rewatch, one of my favorite things is they keep you guessing in that first 15 minutes of who Val is. Because you have Albert being super suspicious of Armand and saying, you're seeing someone else, blah, blah, blah. They have this young guy show up. He's touching his hair. He's got wine. It seems like a dinner date. It's not until I think the 16-minute mark of the movie that you find out it's his kid. And he says, Pop. But they have the whole sequence of like, I'm going to marry a woman. And he goes, oh, you shouldn't do that. You're too young. You know nothing. You think it could be this romantic. I love that. And I guess you would be sacrificing that if you had that conversation we're talking about.
But I wonder how much of this you could work in somewhere else. Because I agree with you, but I just mean, like, he talks to her on the phone. Like, I don't know, just or tell your dad a story about her. I don't know, something about why we love this girl so much that we're going to ask something borderline unforgivable of our dad, you know? Right. And but I do love their father-son dynamic. It is, other than this ask. Sweet. It is sweet. He loves him very much. You see that again when he talks to Catherine later, and she talks about the money that started her business and her empire that she's now running, and that she clearly didn't want to be a mom. She wanted to go live her life, which, okay, fine, girlfriend. But he gave her the money to go start her life, and she's like, I feel like you should have gotten stock. And he's like, I got Val. It's more than enough of a trade. Like, he wanted his son, and he was one. It's so, I think, another upending of gender roles too, right? Is like, he was a dad immediately. As soon as he knew he was going to have a kid, he was a dad, and he wanted that child, and he raised him, and he's the parental figure at the core there. And you don't get
Janelle
to see
said
that.
She was like, oh, Catherine's kind of a deadbeat mom.
Yeah, she's a deadbeat mom versus
right?
a deadbeat dad. Again, I love that upending of it. And I like that there's not a ton of resentment on any side, though. There's this acceptance of, she wanted a different life and I wanted this. And we both got what we wanted. And even from Val, like, he's not really angry at her. He's just like, I had what I needed. I'm not from a broken home. I have a mom. You know?
I love that when she shows up to the den, like, everything is out on the table when she says, you did a great job raising him, basically. I like that. That's one little tiny moment that doesn't really get acknowledged as much. Going backward a little bit, is Catherine legitimately making moves on Armand when they're dancing, and then she's like, oh, open up your shirt, let me touch your cheek? You don't think that might be a little bit of like, I got you once, maybe I can get you again? Because she doesn't know that.
I don't think it's a real
Albert's
move.
outside,
I think she's
right?
flirting, but I don't think it's a real move.
Okay.
I flirt with my gay friends. Like, it's not weird. We love each other, but we're not gonna sleep together. You know, like, it's not like a real move. I think they both acknowledge it up front too, right? Where they're like, you know, we had this one time, like, let's just try it out, you know? And they both acknowledge.
Well, they tried it twice for the record.
Right.
So he liked it so much. From
2:30 to 3:45, right? Or something like that. Yeah, no, they crushed it. I think on the whole, though, this is just a really fun time. You get so many expectations upended that make it interesting and compelling to watch, both from a gender role perspective, but also a parental role perspective, and a villain perspective and hero kind of thing. So I just like that it shakes things up in such a way that you're dealing with some tough themes, actually, but you're making it consumable and funny. And that's by individual little lines, or it's a whole character like the Agador who's fucking falling over.
We have not
shoes.
Talked about Agador Spartacus nearly enough.
His voice, his, like, he doesn't want to wear shoes, his, like,
they make him fall, like
the houseman of it all, you know. Like,
I love when they call him in and they're like, Agador Spartacus, and they call him in and he's supposed to be the butler, and he comes in and just gestures like, what? Like, puts his arms out like, what the fuck do you want? And then he bows on the way out. Just
all the bowing,
yeah.
The holding the shrimps. There's shrimps. And he's just holding them in all the back and forth scenes of going in and out of the kitchen. Like, and then he comes in for the I could have danced all night. That scene is fucking hysterical as well, because every single person in that room is being so gay. Every single person is being so gay, singing I could have danced all night. And he comes and double doors it and, you know, gives his little solo. And it's just like, there's just so many beautiful, hilarious moments that, you know, you can tell they thought were funny too. The kitchen scene where Robin Williams falls, like, that was unexpected. They're all trying not to break.
They're breaking.
You know, they're breaking. Yeah. It's just, and he's just sitting there holding the shrimp the whole time, throws it at him. You know, like, that was unexpected. So
there's like shots of them throughout. Every character in this, it seems, is binge drinking to get through this uncomfortable evening where they're all hiding a secret of some kind. I do like, as you see, like, literally every character gets a chance to shine in this too. I even think, like, Barbara is underrated. She gets the big speech where she calls the senator out of, like, you don't care about any of this, and she actually gets jealous of Albert in drag, and is like, somebody has to like me best. Like, he's falling for this guy in a women's outfit. Like, you know, it's very silly.
It is just, but like you said, they all get, I think, highlighted and balanced really well in that moment. And then, you know, at the end, they're trying to leave. And one thing I do think is kind of crazy is that she just goes along with, like, breaking up with Val. She's like, okay, I would have really liked to be a part of your family. Like, these are there are multiple moments now where I'm like, why are you people not fighting for this thing?
Right.
Like, I don't understand. So she's just, like, going to walk out. Val doesn't try to stop her, by the way. The thing that stops it is the pap in the hallway. Like, otherwise they would have broken up just then. And for all of this would have been for nothing. that was
But
one
because
moment that
they
I was
end up
like,
needing help escaping, that's how we get like the
yeah.
save for this relationship, this marriage,
I
etc.
mean, in story structure, I guess you needed it, but like I was just like, the fuck, like you said, Barbie and Val are the problems here, really, at the end of the day.
100%, dude.
All right. Well, I think, this is just hysterical. It's just such a good time. There's so many funny lines, and I think it's such a good adaptation. And yeah, if you hadn't seen it, or if you haven't seen it yet and you're still here, you absolutely have to watch this, preferably multiple times. But do you have a like shitty factoid for us? What's happening?
So I want to get to my actually, let me get the shitty factoid out of the way, because I have a couple other facts that I think are pretty interesting. I also have some commentary that I'd like to share. But the shitty fact is that when they mention, one of the paparazzi or one of the reporters at the station mentions the Simpson case, they're referencing the O.J. Simpson case. So if you are not read up enough to remember O.J. Simpson, or you didn't take the time to Google it, or you thought maybe they were talking about that Simpsons show that Hank Azaria is on. No, it's referencing the O.J.'s. That's the worst IMDb fact I could find of like, here's this thing and this is what it's talking about.
It's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I think we all kind of knew that at the end of the day, but good to know.
Pretty rough. But really quick here, like 3 actual fun facts that we didn't get to. I think the Nichols, we mentioned him so many times today and what a great job he did on this. Not only did he commission a full-length documentary about drag queens to happen before this was filming, and he shared that documentary with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane to sort of inform their characters. So this is probably still a bit over the top, but they are like emulating what they saw in this documentary, which I think it just adds more credibility to it.
It feels very accurate to me, to the drag queen scene, to be honest. It's very
I've watched RuPaul's Drag Race. They don't all scream as high as Nathan Lane does in this, but I feel like for the most part it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Drag queens, I know. It's very on brand.
The second one, tying in those same 3 people, was that Nichols forced Nathan Lane and Robin Williams to do one good scene by the book to script before they were allowed to improvise, because we know both of these folks like to improvise. And in my deep dive here, I found out that actually Aladdin was not eligible for Best Adapted Screenplay because Robin Williams went off script so much that like it wasn't even the screenplay that ended up on screen. Bummer.
Yeah. I do like the clips though. Like, if you ever watched the deleted scenes of Aladdin where it's like all his other riffs on it, he has so many good lines that didn't even make it in. It was so good.
What a treasure. What a treasure. And then the last one, because I know that at least a couple of my friends that listen to the pod are wrestling fans, and I have to call out that Eddie Guerrero, who was one of my favorite wrestlers, may he rest in peace, he passed really young, but his character was known as Latino Heat, and apparently he lifted that indirectly from this film when he heard Guatemalan Heat, so he went by Latino Heat, and he was like a WWE champion and all that. So wrestling fans,
I love
you should go watch the Birdcage if you haven't. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I love that. Good on you. Good on you.
Yeah.
Okay, so all that to say, first of all, incredible. Love it. I love that name. What, and I feel like maybe we've just segued into your answer, but what would you say is your golden garnish? What's the...
Oh my goodness. Can you explain for those who maybe didn't listen last week? Yeah, so those who maybe didn't
listen last time, we have a new award here on the pod. It's called the Golden Garnish, inspired by the Palme d'Or from Cannes, the Golden Palm. And it's like the best moment, MVP either of it, or the best moment in this, the shot, the line, the actor. What's your like golden garnish cherry on top moment of this this
you
film?
Guys know I listen to the Rewatchables podcast, and on that they do something similar where they say like who won the film. Ours is a little different because you could pick a moment or a line.
I would just like to say for the record that I don't listen to that, and I still came up with
no, I'm not saying we didn't. No way. Like this is just a me thing. Mackenzie came up with this on her own. Like I never suggested that. But if I had to, like, that's the way that I'm thinking about it. So if I had to think about it in that capacity, I would say Nathan Lane, because for as good as everyone else is in this, and as good as I could award it to the 5 fucking screenwriters that produced this incredible script. But I think Nathan Lane, this being his breakout film performance and what it led to for him, and just how well he embodies this role that Robin Williams was going to be in, big fucking shoes to fill. And I just think he crushes it. What about you?
I'm gonna go with a moment rather than a person.
Fair.
I think the people are so like, as you were saying that, I was like, well, I'll go Robin Williams, don't go Hank Azaria. Like, I can't decide. They're all so fucking good. But I just love the I could have danced all night scene. I think followed closely by the toast scene, but I just love that scene because, like I said, everyone is so fucking gay in that moment, every single one of them, and it's beautiful, and it's this bonding moment. And like you said, they've been drinking, and they're all just like starting to bond and have a good time, and just Hank Azaria's entrance in that moment and all that, and what it segues us into afterward. I just think that's such a fun transition. So that's probably mine.
Very cool. I think that's a great choice. The last thing I want to do before I get to my rating, I promise we're getting there, guys, is I want to read this.
Do y'all believe him? I don't believe him.
So last week I said, hey, it's Pride Month. Mackenzie and I are allies, but we don't have any full-on representation on the pod, so I wanted to get a little bit. So I texted a friend of mine, Nathan, and I said he had recommended, like a bunch of folks out there said, you have to do the
Should I have
Birdcage
texted my gays? I didn't text my gays. My bad.
I would recommend it for future weeks, or anybody on the spectrum, of Pride Month, any of the acronym or the plus. But my friend Nathan, I said, why was it that you said Birdcage? Like, that's on everybody's list, and tell me what your thoughts are. So he texted me back. He said, one of my first memories of watching a movie with my mom was the Birdcage, watching comedic powerhouses Robin Williams and Nathan Lane, of who we share the same birthday and the same first name. So Nathan.
Wow.
Deliver such hilarious performances was one thing, but for them to also play a gay couple was what stood out to me the most. The entire movie normalized the gay experience for a young, questioning little San Antonian boy, especially given that by the end, the ultra-conservative Gene Hackman becomes accepting and understanding of the love two men can bring to a family. Apart from it being one of the funniest movies out there, the overall message of love and family are its standout themes. Don't forget to take your Purin tablets, everyone. Love Nathan. So yeah, it's a great message, right?
Oh, thanks for that, Nathan. That's so good. And such great call outs for sure. I like that. Yeah. The Purin tablets. Chef's kiss. Love. Okay, so 12 hours later, what's your rating?
12 hours later, my rating is like a 9. I don't even know what, the hardest thing about this film isn't even that some of the topics are like, I don't want to say taboo, but like cancelable, like the things that are said in this that
doesn't
are kind
hold
of
up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the premise is just harsh. And like we said, like what the kids are asking, you just hate them throughout, which I don't think is the intention. When this comes out in 96.
Remake today, for example.
Yeah. I think a current day would be, it'd be hard without Robin Williams. But I think it's hard to say that this isn't damn near perfect outside of just the premise itself and how rough of some of the components of this are. But I would say 9. Like it's hard to find stuff I want to change about it. What about you?
I kind of agree. I think like an 8.5 or a 9, probably 8.5. I think I come back to that because I don't like how, again, this is with the current lens and on a rewatch, but I don't love the unclear nature of their relationship back and forth here and there. Like you said, kind of at the beginning of this, like questioning, are they together, not together? Are they in a fully committed relationship or are they not? And, is this person like a mother to Val? Yes or no? And I think that becomes clear over the course of the film that obviously, yes, they are each other's people and partner and life. And that becomes like really beautiful and well handled. But I don't like kind of the vagaries at the beginning, and the thing that Val asks of him is just very, very.
It is strange that for as much as we know that Albert is Val's mother, it is strange that Armand is hiding the fact that Val is visiting from him. Like it's just, or from her, sorry. It's strange that is the case, that's how the movie starts, when we know that Armand and Albert have raised Val.
Yeah, I think he's like, oh, I wanted to surprise you. He gives that like little throwaway line, more like surprise. Yeah. But he knows that Albert is like liable to get a little uppity about certain things and assume the worst. So it seems like he would say it, But I think that again, that's supposed to set that scene up of where you don't really know what's going on, and you can't have that otherwise. So I sort of give it a pass. But yeah, a little bit of that dynamic early on is not always my favorite, but this on the whole is just fucking hilarious, and the performances are great. So it's a great time for sure.
Thanks.
All right, kids. Thanks for joining. This one was super fun. Come back next week for Y Tu Mama También. And in the
Spanish
meantime,
film officially, like, is it actually subtitled Spanish?
it's subtitled. I don't remember how much the split is of like English to Spanish. I think there's a little bit of English. Last time I watched it was when it first came out, around when it first came out. And you know how when you watch something with subtitles and it just kind of like bleeds into,
Right.
you're just ingesting it. So I don't fully remember all of it, but it is a lot of Spanish, and it's supposed to be. It is really beautiful. I remember just. It was so different at that time. So you said you hadn't seen it, right?
This will be my first. Is it better than Amelia Perez?
Oh my God. Don't even. Listen, we don't talk about those in the same breath. You know what I mean? It's not the same conversation. But anyways, we'll get to that. In the meantime,
it's worth pointing out we didn't cover Amelia Perez during Pride Month. Intentionally. Nope. We did it like last year outside of Pride Month because we're not proud of that film. Go listen to that episode if you were curious.
We're not super proud. I know we're offending some people right now, though, to be fair, but I just don't. I didn't love it.
It's not that we're not proud of the concept and the representation. We just did not think it was a very good movie. So
indeed.
But in the meantime, follow us on social. We drink and we watch things on Instagram. We put little comments and themes into our Instagram posts, and you can always comment. We'll read some of them out on the pod. But yeah, reach out to us there. That's the main place we're doing everything nowadays.
I've got a new series coming your way there. Just did a bunch of fun recordings for y'all that Lemar is finding out in real time as I tell you this. So he'll check it out with you guys. Anyways, but for now, go have a drink and watch a thing. Cheers.
Cheers.